Imagine, if you will, that you are walking alone through a vast, peaceful forest. The air is cool. The sunlight filters gently through the leaves above you. It is quiet. It is calm. Suddenly, out of nowhere, an arrow strikes you. It pierces your shoulder deep into your flesh. The pain is sharp, immediate, and undeniable. This is the first arrow. This first arrow represents the unavoidable pains of life. It is the illness that confines you to your bed. It is the sudden loss of someone you love. It is the disappointment of a dream that did not come true, or the sting of harsh words spoken by someone close to you. These events are natural. They are part of the human condition. Every single person who has ever lived or ever will live will experience this first arrow. The first arrow is a fact of life. We cannot choose whether or not it arrives. We cannot negotiate with sickness. We cannot bargain with death. We cannot reason with unexpected change. When the arrow hits, it hurts. There is no shame in admitting that. The pain is real. But the Buddha, over 2,000 years ago, pointed out something remarkably profound. He observed that after the first arrow strikes, most of us do not simply stop at one arrow. We reflexively, almost unconsciously, grab another arrow, pull back the bow, and shoot ourselves right in the heart. This is the second arrow. The second arrow is our reaction to the pain. It is not the physical pain itself, but the mental suffering that we add on top of it. It is the worry, the anger, the self-pity, and the relentless rumination that begins in our mind. While the first arrow hurts the body, the second arrow devastates the mind. And here is the crucial point. The second arrow is entirely optional. It is our own creation. Think about a time you fell ill. The first arrow was the fever, the aching muscles, the fatigue. That was the physical pain. But what did your mind do? It began to shoot the second arrow. You thought, why me? I can't afford to be sick right now. My work is going to suffer. What if it gets worse? What if I don't recover in time? Do you see what happened? The physical pain remained the same, but your mind multiplied it into a mountain of anxiety and fear. The first arrow was a wound. The second arrow was an entire war waged inside your head. Let us look at a few examples to make this clear. Imagine a young man who is suddenly fired from his job. The first arrow is the loss of income, the empty desk, the final paycheck. It is a difficult blow. But soon, the second arrow follows. He begins to tell himself, I am a failure. I will never find another job. Everyone will think I'm useless. My partner will leave me. These thoughts are the second arrow. They are not reality. They are his reaction to reality. He is not just suffering from job loss. He is suffering from the story he tells himself about the job loss. Consider a woman who goes through a painful breakup. The first arrow is the absence, the silence, the loneliness. That is painful enough. But the second arrow comes when she replays every conversation in her head, thinking, if only I had said this, if only I had been better, I will never find love again. She is not just grieving the relationship, she is torturing herself with endless what-ifs. That is the second arrow. The Buddha addressed this directly in the ancient texts. He said, when an untaught ordinary person is touched by a painful feeling, they sorrow, they grieve, they lament. They feel two pains, the physical pain and the mental pain. But then he described the wise person, the person who has trained their mind. He said, when a well-taught, noble disciple is touched by a painful feeling, they do not sorrow, grieve, or lament. They feel just one pain, the physical pain. The mental pain does not arise. This is the heart of the teaching. The goal is not to avoid pain because that is impossible. The goal is to avoid the extra suffering we create. The goal is to feel just one arrow, not two. So, how do we actually do this? How do we stop ourselves from shooting that second arrow? The answer is mindfulness. It is not about suppressing your feelings or pretending the pain doesn't exist. It is about observing the pain without judgment. When you feel the first arrow, you simply notice it. You say to yourself, "This is a painful sensation. This is a feeling of sadness. This is a feeling of anger." You call it by its name. Then you separate yourself from it. You realize, this feeling is not me. It is just a phenomenon that is arising in my body and mind. It is a visitor, not a permanent resident. Finally, you remind yourself of the truth of impermanence. This feeling will not last. It will change. It will fade away. Just as the rain eventually stops and the clouds part, this feeling will eventually pass. By doing this, you do not deny the pain of the first arrow. You simply refuse to pick up the second one. You accept the pain without adding the layer of resistance, fei. In life, pain is inevitable. You cannot live in this world without being struck by the first arrow at some point. It is a part of the package of being human. But suffering? The endless mental turmoil, the sleepless nights, the constant worrying, that is optional. That is always a choice. The second arrow is always in your hand. The question is, will you shoot it? Or will you put it down, breathe, and simply allow the first arrow to be just what it is, a temporary pain that will one day fade away? Remember this teaching. It will not prevent the storms of life from coming, but it will teach you how to walk through the rain without drowning. Thank you for listening.